Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. I have a pretty little card that is thinking of you, and I just can't keep my hands out of the Art Floral suite. So I've got another one from there using a different kind of designer series paper and a different acetate. So let's just get started. Okay, here is my card. Isn't that pretty? Thinking of you, and I've used an embossing folder here, and I've done some of the designer acetate. So let me tell you what it takes. I'm going to change it up just a little bit. I put this one on a white base, and I thought it might be kind of interesting to see what this particular paper looked like on a Poppy Parade base. So I've got a Poppy Parade base here, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have my two pieces of the designer series paper, which is this paper from that paper pack. Isn't that just beautiful? Now this screams at me to also fussy cut out some of these pieces, but we'll see. Right now I'm just having so much fun with the pieces that I really just enjoying myself. And this is the designer acetate. This is another sheet of the designer acetate, and you can see here that this overlays perfectly on this paper. So I have cut a piece here of the acetate and the designer series paper that is 4 by 5 1/4 for the front of our card. Then I took a piece, let me show you the inside of this one. Because this one was on white, I wanted the Poppy Parade border around the white here, and I wanted some of the green and more of this. And what I used was this Parisian embossing folder. I just love this folder. It's got such a beautiful deep pattern. And so I've done two pieces. This one is fit to go on the front of the card, so it is 4 by 1 inch, 5 1/4 by 1 inch, and then I have one for the inside of the card. And on this one, with the Poppy Parade background, we don't need as many layers, so I've got this piece that is 4 by 5 1/4 out of the Whisper White, and it will go on the card and doesn't need an additional border because it's going to have that Poppy Parade around the edge. So this piece, these two pieces are cut this is cut 5/8 of an inch, and this is cut 3/4 of an inch. On this one I cut a larger piece, and I wasn't as happy with it. I wanted just a hint of that green on this one, so I cut it down so that it would have just a very small border from top to bottom. So that's the plan. Then I used my two layering ovals, and you can use whatever size you want. These are sort of middle of the pack. One to cut out from my designer series paper, and then one to cut out my green, which in this case is Mossy Meadow. So Mossy Meadow throughout, because that is the complementary color used here. Then I also used a die from this set, and it's got two label dies, these things, and cuts out just a thin strip. And what I did here, and I'll show you, I just stamped it way over to one side and then cut it out. And then we're going to tuck part of that message underneath this medallion, so you won't need the whole length there. Otherwise I would have done it more in the middle. And you could actually just slide this down. Just make sure you're fitting inside the teeth here, and let's see, if I slide down one more, where does that put me? You could do that one and probably get a similar border off of each side, but I did want to tuck that underneath here. So I'm going to do this and just cut a little piece of this off. So let's just get started. The very first thing we have to do is get our two pieces here pulled together. And before I do that, I have to pull off the protective piece on the back of my acetate. And you can see here, it's always on the silver side, and then you just peel that off and you can see the difference about how clear that is compared to this. And so you take this protective piece off, and then this piece fits exactly over the designer series paper. And somebody said, do you have to be really careful about measuring? No, you don't. You lay one of these 12 by 12 pieces over the other and it matches perfectly. And if it's off a tiny bit, it just adds to the interest, in my opinion. But it's pretty good, and it's not designed to cover perfectly. It'll be off in a few places, and that's all just fine. So what I did was I used some glue dots, and on this paper what I found is if you cut you take your glue dots and put them over on themselves, so folding in half, they fit just perfectly behind these gold leaves. And there I've got my first one down. And so you can take glue dots, fold them over on themselves, and then just keep finding some of these gold leaves right here on the designer acetate and put that glue dot down, and then line up your paper so that we've got a good fit and nobody will ever see your glue dots. This is absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to take another glue dot here, fold it over on itself, and we're going to tie down using one of the leaves over on this side. And what I'm going to do is show you. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to attach it to the back of that leaf, put it in place, and tack that down. And my designer series paper is perfectly attached to this. I think we did one on all but this last, no, we did get one there. So we're in pretty good shape. So then after that, what we need to do is get this piece ready to go on here. And for that, I'm using my silicone mat and my seal and getting this piece prepared to go right across the front of my card here. And make sure all of that seal is behind there. And then I'm going to go ahead and place this. I don't want to cover up my pretty flower, so maybe we'll put this one on this side on this card. So I'm going to start it right at the top of the paper, and I'm going to come all the way to the bottom and then just secure that. And then I'm using this braided linen trim in the Mossy Meadow, and I need a couple of pieces here. Let's see, this one's got kind of a flaw in it, so I'm going to cut that piece off. And then I need two pieces that are the length plus a little bit for my card. So there's one, and I'll make the second one the same length and cut that off, and then I'm ready to go. Now on these pieces, I'm just going to use my dot runner to put a little bit of glue on the back of this braided linen, right from the top all the way down the piece. And you just have to press a little bit to make sure that it goes in place. Well, I guess I could put that piece of paper that way. Interesting. There's really no up and down to this paper. The flowers go every which direction, so I just didn't want to cover them up with my big strip here. And put that in place, and then we'll add some snail to the back of this piece so we can secure these pieces in place on the back side of this front panel. Now we're going to do exactly the same with this piece. Okay, now this piece is ready to go on the front of our card. So I'm going to add some seal to my card. And put that in place on the front of my card. There we go. All right. Isn't that pretty? You know, it's interesting. The background with the white makes this one look a little lighter and airier, and this one looks more rich to me. I like them both. You'll have to tell me what you think. Okay, so I'm moving some of these things out of the way here, and I'm ready to put these two pieces together, and this is pretty simple. I'm going to just adhere this piece to my Mossy Meadow oval, and if you're worried about lining up the edges on this one, use liquid glue because you can move it around. Okay, there we go. There's our medallion all ready to go. I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this one and put it in place. All right, this one I'm going to place just below center right here, centering it on that strip, which means it goes over the edge of this. As long as it doesn't go past the card edge, you're good. All right, now on this piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this edge off just a little on this side, and I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on this side, and then I'm going to use some mini dimensionals on the back of this piece. Okay, now I'm going to tuck this edge underneath my medallion and put my thinking of you here, and I'll show you how I did the thinking of you. And I'm going to use my pokey tool here to make sure that's adhered to the underside of my medallion, and then erase any glue that is showing. All right, this is the stamp, and the stamp says, "I'm thinking of you." So what I did was I took a strip of Whisper White and I inked up my stamp so that I only inked up the words that I really wanted to use. So I'm just using the stamp right along the edge of my ink pad here to only ink up the thinking of you. Then I'm going to stamp that right here in the center of my strip of paper, and there you go. And then that way, and you can always put a little piece of Post-it note over what you don't want to ink up. Just have to remember to take it off before you stamp, and then use my die here to set up to cut that piece out. So that's all there is to that. So now my piece is on there and the front of our card is done. Now this really qualifies as a fast and beautiful. You see just how long this takes to put together. No time at all. Because this one is done on some Poppy Parade, I don't need an extra layer for outline on this one, because this piece of white at 4 by 5 1/4 is going to automatically get that contrasted line because of the card base. So there we go. Make sure that there's no glue on that. Then my green piece is set to go here all the way to the top and bottom of that piece of card. And I'm going to go ahead, you know, that looked like it needed just a tiny little trim off of there. So I'm going to set that in place right here and have that come down to the bottom of the card. And then this piece, which I have also embossed, will just give us a tiny little edge of the green on the inside of the card for our decoration. So there we go. All right. And that is my project for the day. A very fast and, I think, beautiful card. This designer paper and the acetate just makes this as easy as anything. And I don't think it needs any additional bling with all of that raised detail. And we've actually got gold, and we have the embossed detail, and then we have the texture with the ribbon. So I think that really is pretty good. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. There's a fabulous offer starting January 5th that's going to allow you to join Stampin' Up! And buy your starter kit for $99, and you get $125 worth of product. And then in addition to that, you get 5 packages of designer series paper in some of the color families and the in colors. And so it's a heck of a deal. And if you're curious about it at all, give me a call or drop me a line, and I'd be happy to chat with you about it. Okay, let's see. This is still December, and I think this is the last video of the year, and because the next one I do will actually post on January 1st, 2021. Yay! We're going to get rid of 2020. So my December prize is a $60 shopping spree on me, and you get into that drawing by putting an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And you can get to it through my blog, www.ingenuity.com. And then, because you all last month put me over 21,000 subscribers, I'm doing a giveaway with every video this month. So this will be the last one. And so this month, I think, or this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the 2 designer series paper, the art floral, and the acetate, and you're going to get half a package of paper. So there's 2 prizes. The first prize is, if you're not already a subscriber, if you subscribe and you let me know, then I will pull a name from that group of people, and you'll get a half a package of the designer series paper and the acetate. And then for the other group, if you're already a subscriber and you share the video, then you get the same prize. So that's the prizes for this month. Again, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.